Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Freya, my fuzziest little co-star. I'm Jason and we're bringing you today's video. Now today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. As always guys, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I may be looking down a little bit, I'll have to double check my notes on this stuff. But be a little bit different than normal. Again, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of videos coming out because we just try and give people as much information as we can. We think it's a pretty big subject. But today I'm actually not going to talk about autism. I want to talk about another neurodivergent condition because it presents a lot of similar symptoms, and I'm going to have another video later on talking about the differences between the two. But it presents a lot of similar symptoms, and that's ADHD. So I'm going to talk a little bit about ADHD, and again, presents a lot of similar symptoms, and there probably is a little bit of overlap as well because ADHD has a very high comorbidity rate with autism. A lot of autistic people also have ADHD, and along with likely anxiety and things along those lines. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about ADHD. Now, for those of you guys that are a little bit older, you'll remember that it used to be called ADD, and now is classified as ADHD. And some people really struggle with a diagnosis of ADHD because they'll say, well, they're not hyper. But it's not hyper all the time. It's not. And things can change instantly with an ADHD person on which way they are presenting and how they are presenting moment to moment. It can change environmentally, it can change by what's around you, the people that you were around, the situation you were in, the task you were doing. It's pretty broad. It's not it's not a spectrum thing like autism, but it can be pretty broad as far as the symptoms go. So one of the first things that is a big part of ADHD is inattention, and there's a lot of different ways that could present as well. Failure to pay close attention to things, difficulty following instructions, difficulty following directions, difficulty following conversations, a lot of difficulty doing things, say remembering somebody's name. You'll meet somebody, they'll tell you their name, and no exaggeration, 2 seconds later in your head you're going, what was their name again? The brain, you were there, you were having a conversation with them, but your brain wasn't there. Your brain was in that book you were reading an hour ago, and those 6 tabs that you had open on your computer, plus that TV show that you were watching, and trying to remember what that commercial was in that Super Bowl 3 years ago that was really, really funny. And along with that, what was the score of that Super Bowl again? You have no idea what it was they said. You were able to follow along with the conversation just fine, but you already forgot their name. That can be an ADHD sign. Along with it, having difficulty holding attention onto tasks and things like that. A lot of ADHD people have a lot of difficulty completing tasks and finishing tasks because they have a tendency to get diverted. Get diverted very, 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 very easily. An ADHD person might decide they need to go on to Google to get the recipe for a birthday cake that they want to bake somebody for tomorrow, and they bring up Google, they Google that recipe, and somehow 45 seconds later you're watching videos of a panther raising a boa constrictor egg that they found. It's just your brain just starts following all these different tracks, and you have difficulty finishing the task that you were on. Now, just like autism, a lot of ADHD people do end up masking, and one of the ones that they will learn is to attempt to concentrate. Again, attempt to concentrate. Along with what I was just saying, that the inattention side can show as a lot of difficulty following conversations, or what appears to be a lack of interest or attention. They don't seem to be listening when you were talking to them. And the thing is, they might be listening with one ear, but the other ear might be listening to the conversation that's off to the left, while their eyes are kind of glazing over because they're, again, thinking about that documentary they just watched 3 months ago that suddenly sprung back into their head. Yeah, and again, difficulty following tasks. For children, a lot of difficulty completing homework and things along those lines, completing projects, hitting deadlines, things along those lines. Also, a whole bunch of difficulty organizing. A lot of difficulty organizing. And this is one of the big divergences from autism and ADHD, which is why when they show both symptoms, or have both conditions, they can show two different sets of symptoms at different times, which can get difficult as well. ADHD people also, they avoid or at least dislike tasks that require a lot of mental effort for a long period of time. ADHD people can get very, very focused, and they can learn. So if they find something interesting, they can learn the heck out of it very, very, very quickly. But if it's something that they are told they have to do and is going to require a lot of effort, a lot of mental effort, and a lot of mental energy, basically concentration and focus, they'll try to avoid it. They'll try and get out of it because they have difficulty keeping their attention for any particular time. ADHD people also have a tendency to lose things, especially things that are important to a task, to a job, to a project, or just even to day-to-day life. You know, an ADHD person might lose their keys all the frickin' time, or they might forget to take something with them to work, that they might leave their work keys, or they might leave their badge at home that they need to get out of the building, or their name tag, or their whole frickin' uniform. And it's possible. It seems strange, but it's very, very possible. Losing things that are very specific to a task that you were doing, and again, it's because the brain is operating. Think of it as your computer screen, and you've got 15 windows open, all on different subjects. And the one window, the first window that you opened, that is the task that you were doing. And you're mechanically doing it while you're looking at the other 14 windows. So, you know, it'd be like a carpenter in the middle of a job going, where in the heck did I put that hammer? Because when they put it down, their brain was thinking about something totally different. So mentally, they weren't even there when they put the hammer down. So they have no idea where it is because they weren't there, even though they're the one that put it down. That sort of thing. Obviously, ADHD people are very easily distracted. I'm sure we've all seen the little video clips of, say, the dog in, I think it was Up, with the collar. Oh, my owner gave me this collar so I can talk to people. Squirrel! That's ADHD people. You know, shiny things, and they're distracted quickly. Also very, very forgetful in daily activities. That inattention thing can come up in so many different ways. ADHD people have a ton of difficulty making first, and then keeping appointments, even important ones, making deadlines, pretty much anything related to the future is almost impossible to do initially for a lot of ADHD people. Again, they learn to mask. You know, a lot of these symptoms, as we go further into things, you know, the hyperactivity side of ADHD, because this is just the inattention side. A lot of these things, if they were fully presented, would present as a person that is unable to care for themselves. So by the time they reach adulthood, they will have learned to have masked some of these things, or at least learned to deal with them. Hopefully they've learned to deal with them. So the hyperactivity side of ADHD, because again, there's two sides, and they can present very, very difficult, or very, very differently. Hyperactivity side can show up in a lot of different ways. Some obvious ones: fidgeting, a lot of fidgeting, bouncing the leg, tapping the feet, tapping the fingers, inability to sit still, inability to stay in place even when you're supposed to, such as, say, at work. An ADHD person might just need to get up and start pacing around, might need to get up and just leave, or might get up and take about 4 steps, and then, because something caught their attention, then realize, wait a minute, I'm at work, I'm supposed to be doing something. that's absolutely a sign of ADHD. Even just squirming around in your seat, especially with children in school environments, things along those lines, it can show up. And again, a big tendency to leave your seat when you're not supposed to, when it's not normalized, when it's not expected. A feeling of restlessness. Now, for an adult, it's oftentimes a feeling of restlessness and a want and a need to be doing something. For children, what you may see is a lot of running around, a lot of climbing on things they're not supposed to climb on. I mean, and that's difficult because children already like to touch everything that they're not supposed to touch. But climbing things you're not supposed to climb, and again, that's that hyperactive side and the feeling of restlessness. Along with that, a lot of difficulty doing leisure type activities calmly and quietly, especially quietly. A lot of ADHD people have a ton of difficulty with quiet because again, that 15, 20 tabs that are open on the computer, that's part of the brain. The other part of the brain has another 15 or 20 tabs open, and it's on a whole different subject. So that leisure, that quiet, is very difficult. Which is why you oftentimes, with someone with ADHD, you might see a television on, along with, say, a video going on a phone or something along those lines, along with maybe the computer open on the lap and possibly a book right next to them. Absolutely a sign of ADHD, and that inability to be quiet and calm during a leisure time or a leisure activity, and inability to deal with that quiet. A lot of the hyper side of ADHD is that on the go, constant, almost like constant motor going sort of thing. And this is the reason why ADHD can sometimes get mixed up with bipolar also, because you have those two, the inattentive side and the hyper side, that almost can be opposites of each other and can present in the same hour. And it can absolutely appear almost as a bipolar thing too, because your hyper side, you find some new thing, you get really into it, and then you're not so into it a day later. So, again, difficulty, often talks excessively. ADHD people, again, fidgeting, restless, movement, sound, gotta be going. A lot of talking. Along with that, and now this one everybody's done this, but doing it a lot, answering a question before the question is finished, or blurting out an answer before the question is finished, is definitely a sign of the hyper side of ADHD. And again, ADHD people will present both inattentive and what appears to be calmer side, and the hyper side at different times. This one should be pretty obvious, but just waiting in line or anything where you're waiting your turn, very difficult for ADHD people. It's extremely difficult and extremely frustrating to not be doing something. An example from my own experiences is, let's say I'm driving somewhere. So I used to live in LA. This is a perfect example. Let's say I'm driving somewhere, and I know that if I take the freeway, there's going to be a ton of traffic at the first two entrance ramps that I'm going to pass by, because of all the people merging in. So I'm likely going to be in stop and go, or just almost a dead stop traffic, but my total trip is going to be about 30 minutes. And yet I also know that I can take surface streets, and aside from the occasional red light, I'm going to be moving almost all the time. I'm going to take that way, even though my total trip is going to be about 50 minutes. I have consciously made that decision hundreds of times. I would rather be moving, even if it takes me twice as long, than to be sitting waiting. Just can't do it. Can't sit and wait. So the hyper side of things, very, very difficult waiting in line, waiting their turn, taking a number. I bet you the DMV drives ADHD people absolutely nuts. I wouldn't know because I always make an appointment or do things online, or maybe I just time it really well to where I'm in the calmer side of the ADHD phase. I don't freaking know, but yeah, that waiting in line thing, very, very, very difficult. Because of the restless feeling and the need to be on the go and the need to be moving and the need to be talking, ADHD people when they're in one of their hyper modes, often have a tendency to butt in. They butt into other people's conversations. They hear something, they have to give an answer. They almost intrude to an annoying level at times. And again, that's just that need to be going and be doing things. So these are some of the ADHD signs and symptoms. There's an absolute ton of them. And again, there's a lot of overlap between ADHD, autism spectrum, even bipolar, many other things, which, again, there's a lot of comorbidity between everything as well. We will have another video coming up on the differences, some of the differences between ADHD and the autism spectrum. So tune in for that. We hope you guys find this stuff interesting, at least. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye now.